Warning, this episode contains spoilers for Series 12 up to and including Fugitive of the Judoon. What's that? A bunch of escaped rhinos doing what now? They're wearing black leather? They have guns? The Judoon are back, and they are stomping around Worcestershire. Or was it Gloucestershire? It's a shire of some sort. Not that one. The point is, what better time to delve back into the history of the rhinoform species and find out what they're all about. Welcome to Species Fact Files, Judoon. The Judoon are a rhinoform biped species who operate primarily as a mercenary police force for hire. They are tall, stocky, with a humanoid body and, well, yeah, a head like a rhinoceros. It's kind of their defining feature. Their tough build combined with their small brain size, said to be able to fit on a teaspoon, makes them perfect for their primary profession of their species. You know, mercenarying and stuff. Whether or not every member of the species is employed in this manner is unknown, though I for one would very much like to see a Judoon chef, or firefighter, or bellboy. You know, basically any profession with a hat. They originate on the planet Judoonia, and their whole culture is pretty much built on following rules to the letter. This extends to obeying local laws and rules when they're outside of their own jurisdiction. Got a "do not walk on the grass" sign on your property? You can bet the Judoon will honour that sign. They often competed for work with rival mercenary species, the Ogrons, and I don't know about you, but despite these guys having rhino heads, they're still easier to look at than Ogron, so I know who I'm hiring. The Doctor has encountered the Judoon many times in several incarnations, and in the novel, The Harvest of Time, even the third Doctor makes reference to them, so he's known about them a long time. And they've seemingly been around a long time too. How long exactly the Judoon have been a force in the galaxy is a bit hard to pin down, because there is some evidence that they have access to time travel. For instance, their inclusion in the Alliance that traps the Doctor in the Pandorica in 102 CE. Although, look, it's entirely possible that they were simply active at this time in history, or were brought there by one of the other members of the Alliance that do possess time travel. But there's other stuff, like in the Big Finish audio Judoon in Chains, where the Judoon start the story working for the Genesis Terraforming Corporation on the planet Ischus. When Commander Kobo deserts his position under the influence of the native corporeal population, he flees to Earth, where the local date is May 1884. Towards the end of the story, when an English courtroom has been transported to the HQ of the Genesis Corporation, the CEO of the company says,
"Does anyone know why there's an ancient Earth building in the parking lot?"
Which rather implies that the setting for the Earth part of the story is in the past to this character, and therefore time travel has occurred. Back to alliances though, and the Pandorica Alliance wasn't the first the Judoon had been members of. The 12th Doctor comics Terraformer and Gangland tell us that early in the universe's history, back in the time of Rassilon ruling on Gallifrey, they joined the Time Lord Leaders' alliance of racers to fight the Hyperions. So again, either they are a really old race, or they have time travel, or somebody gave them a lift back in time. That Judoon we mentioned that landed in 1884, Captain Kylo, he ended up as a slave to a rather unscrupulous circus owner and was forced to be one of his freak show acts before being tracked down by his former platoon and charged with desertion. The 6th Doctor, who had encountered Kylo as he was being forced to crash land on Earth, took it upon himself to act as Kylo's defence counsel and used the Judoon's own penchant for sticking to the rules to make sure that he was tried in the British legal system, successfully proving both that it was the Judoon's current employers, Genesis Corporation, who had broken the law, and that a man in a multicoloured coat could win a court case in England. The next point in history we see the Judoons show up is 1902 Scotland, in events depicted in the Quick Reads book Revenge of the Judoon. Here, in the employ of the lizard-like alien Challenor, they move Balmoral Castle, complete with resident new King Edward VII, to the Arabian desert. Challenor's plan was to use Edward as his puppet emperor of Earth after destroying all the other world powers with a temporal reversion device. He had actually employed the Judoon for an act of forgery, faking orders from the Galactic Council that authorised the interference in Earth's history, another indication that time travel has been employed. The Judoon obviously aren't happy when they find this out, and they take their revenge on Challenor. Roll a book title. They also promised never to set foot on Earth again, Not that they entirely stick to that, the swines. Well, not swines, because, not pig heads, but you get my gist. In 1963, perhaps honouring their earlier commitments under Rassilon's alliance, the Judoon attempted to stop the time gunner Rassilon falling into the hands of the group known as the Cybok Imperium. These are the events we saw in the comic Gangland. They broke their pledge not to return to Earth in the 1980s when they came to the planet looking for an Eye of Akasha. The Fifth Doctor followed them and was forced to help them into finding it, although he did manage to trick them into taking a cricket ball instead. Of course, if they do possess time travel, there's always the possibility that these Judoon come from before the ones that agreed to not set foot on Earth again, so yeah, this could get complicated. In 2008, the Judoon removed the Royal Hope Hospital from Earth, placing it on the moon so that they could search it for a plasmavore fugitive they were hunting. Inside the hospital was one Martha Jones on her first day at her new job. Here she meets the 10th Doctor, who she helped expose the plasmavore to the Judoon so that they would return the hospital to Earth. A single-line reference in the Sarah Jane Adventures episode Revenge of the Slitheen tells us that around this time they are also involved in the apprehension of members of the Slitheen family from Raxacora Phalapatorius. The Judoon were also briefly encountered by the 10th Doctor and Donna working as guards for the Shadow Proclamation.
No flow, jo, ko, fo, to, do. No bo, ho, so, ko, ro, to, so.
Now, given my speculation that they could have time travel capabilities, it could be assumed that this isn't the present-day setting that the Doctor and Donna have just come from. However, the lines of dialogue about missing planets refer to planets that have also gone missing in the past, so it's safe to assume that the Shadow Proclamation is probably at the same point in time as 2009 Earth. A single Judoon, along with an escaped prisoner, crash-land in London in 2009. The prisoner is Androvax, a Veil lifeform that can possess the bodies of others. Sarah Jane Smith and her band of children friends help the Judoon track down the escapee, and the Judoon transports him to a prison planet in the Caelestial cluster. In the online comic Monster Hunt, after Sarah Jane and the kids are transported to an alien base ship, Mr. Smith, the sentient computer in Sarah Jane's attic, sends a signal to the Judoon telling them of the ship's location. The Judoon help rescue the gang and arrest the alien race, the Crulius. In a later Sarah Jane Adventures online comic, Return of the Crulius, the race has some captured Judoon on their ship. And in yet another comic, Defending Bannerman Road, the Crulius have some Judoon slaves working for them as foot soldiers, possibly under hypnotic suggestion. Which is probably quite easy to achieve given the size of their brains. In 2017, a pair of Judoon were hired to guard the hidden Trap Street on Earth, which was a safe haven for aliens on the planet and was under the care of Mayor Me, or Ashilda, as she was once known. Finally, for the modern day appearances of the Judoon, we have the recent episode, Fugitive of the Judoon, from Series 12. Here they are an employee of the Gallifreyan Get to track down the Fugitive. This fugitive, and here's another quick spoiler warning, ends up being none other than some mysterious incarnation of the Doctor, one we have not met before and who has been in hiding on Earth after using her TARDIS's chameleon arch to disguise herself as the human Ruth. There's still a lot of unknowns about this situation at the time of recording, like we don't know from what point in the Doctor's timeline, if any, this new Doctor and these Gallifreyans come from, so we also don't know where in the timeline the Judoon in the episode come from. Are they from the past? The future? They do have access to temporal weaponry, but this could have just been loaned from the Gallifreyans they're working for. If it turns out these Time Lords are ancient Gallifreyans, maybe working with the Judoon is a holdover from Rassilon's alliance with them. At the moment, all we can do is speculate. Then we venture into the future. In the year 2487, the Judoon tracked the Invisible Assassin, an artificial virus modified to attack a specific target, to the Earth colony of New Memphis. The 10th Doctor agreed to help Judoon Commander Rock Ma track down the virus on the condition that the Judoon troops wouldn't set foot on Earth. The 11th Doctor called upon the Judoon in the 52nd century as part of his army at the Battle of Demon's Run in order to rescue Amy Pond and her baby. It is unknown how much he had to pay to secure their services. In 51001, some Judoon took part in the tournament for the Arrow of Law, as depicted in the novel The Coming of the Terraphiles. They did not win. In the 4th Doctor's segment of the Prisoners of Time comic book event, we see him encounter the Judoon on an alien planet. They were there to investigate the theft of the Jewel of Fortune. Leela is tasked with distracting the Judoon, while the Doctor hunts down the gem, so that the Judoon don't tear apart the planet looking for it. By the year 5,057,000,000, things have taken a bit of a dark turn. The Judoon have become corrupt, and joined forces with the Cybermen. In the comic In-Flight Entertainment, they invade New Earth in an attempt to upgrade and enslave the population, but are stopped by the 10th Doctor and Martha Jones. And that is all we currently know about the history of the Judoon. So far, they're the only race created after 2005 to appear in all three modern showrunners' eras. It will be interesting to see if that trend continues. Thanks for listening to this little fact file on the Judoon. I'm thinking of doing more of these with races that don't have too much history. To research the Daleks, for instance, would just take too long. So if you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me which races you'd like to see on the next fact file. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell button, and I'll see you next time.